So what's on the program today is male and female, which is not entirely what it seems. And at the same time is totally what it seems. A huge part of healing and spiritual liberation is connected with realizing not only the opposite gender within ourselves, like our male aspect or our female aspect, but also our own gender within ourselves. Both. There's an enormous amount to be gained in allowing ourselves to move into the form of the opposite sex, to imagine ourselves as the opposite sex. It brings a lot of forgiveness and clarity as to where the body begins and where it ends, in a way. That can be through feeling or imagining or even remembering a lifetime as a different gender. Or just imagining blending with the, like in the case of females, with the internal male, and to look at what kind of attitudes are there, what kind of feelings are there, what's his atmosphere. It can be quite surprising. And the other way around also. But the male and female gender doesn't, the male and female polarity doesn't stop with the physical. In its most neutral expression, it's more the active, the expressive, and the receptive. Or to put it even more simply, the push and the pull.
So the first one was active and
receptive.
Thank you.
And we are quite programmed to be invested in the active, in the action, in the push. Which in a way is, we're programmed to be creators. At least we're a little bit addicted to that, to create. So much so that we even have guilt that we failed to create what we want. Without really knowing what we want in the first place. This imbalance in pushing and doing, thinking, acting, building, carries quite a great shadow of failure. Never good enough.
There is a what of failure?
A shadow.
A shadow. Thank you.
Because in a way you always fail.
Because there's always one more thing to put it down.
It's never perfect.
Yeah.
It always involves any movement outwards. It moves through the air, it's already affecting stuff, and it moves into form, into other layers. And there's a blend and a merging happening there. You know, you want to create the perfect garden, and you go out there and you put down the perfect vision of your garden, and there's chalk underneath. Certain areas, the flowers fail. You know, nature has its own. Not only this, but it also kind of creates guilt, because every act of creation is also an act of destruction. We don't like to see it like that we break the stone to make the statue. That we destroy the harmony which is there in nature to create a garden. That just by choosing to look this way, we're rejecting this way. So there's always something left out. It's quite divisive, creation. All the roads we didn't take. And then, of course, if things seem uncomfortable, then the punishment or the guilt of why I didn't take the other road, because I'm the creator, so I failed. I fail. Useless. So this is more the male aspect and the male wound, in a way. In a way, you know, sometimes people, you know, the church celebrates the glory of creation at the same time as condemning it, that we all have to be redeemed from it because we're all bad. But there are these moments when we can really celebrate the glory, the beauty, the magnificence, like the nirvana which is here of creation. But something moved to start it. It could have been a push and it could have been a pull, or both, because it's not in our dimension, but there was movement. And no movement ever happens on any layer of ourselves unless there is a need. Unless there's a need for it. It can't move without need. So this active side, the push side, the creative side is very visible. It's the stuff we see. It's also the stuff we name. This is anger, this is me, this is my life, this is the world, this is reality. And this compulsion almost to name stuff, to build a story, is driven also by this intuition of failure. Because if you name it, you have it. You feel you have a grasp on it. You feel you can control it. It doesn't feel quite so desperate anymore.
So knowing is a drive to grasp it also.
Sometimes
Gaining knowledge.
active knowing. If it's getting knowledge and naming knowledge, giving knowledge, yeah. But there's another kind of knowing which is more like a reunion, recognition, remembering. That's more, it's the re words, re. That's more receptive. It's kind of non-verbal knowing. And we all can recognize this, when you know this person, but you haven't yet even spoken to them.
So to each one of the things that you're naming, there are two sides, like a male and a female side. So when you talk about knowing, it has a male, it has polarity on itself.
Exactly. So this is the next bit. Every single action of the male carries with it the female within it, and vice versa. It's never separate. We believe it's separate, but this yin and yang goes to every moment, every second, every touch, every sense. For example, we reach out the hand. Here I am, active, reaching out the hand. I touch this. So all the way I'm receiving all the way I'm receiving the space between, the distance, the speed, and then the incredible amount of sensory input. It's all reception. Otherwise my hand would just keep going and I would push it over. There are degrees of strength of touch or softness of touch, but it's all an equation of the push and the pull, the active and the receptive. It never is separate. And in naturalness, they dance together. And just as we are addicted to, in a way, to the doing and to the visible, and it's a kind of fear reflex, that which we can hold on to, even if it's our troubles, even if it's our sad story, we hold on to it because we can hold on to it. That's its reason. Because it's safer to hold on to something than to be nothing, and to just fall.
So you're saying that comes from fear?
Yeah. It comes from fear because it's a midway point. Because if you really, really hold on to something and really, really go all the way with the active, you become one with it. You come out the other side. So we keep it like at a distance. Stuff.
Naming it.
Partly by naming it or by interacting with it, and in terms of perception, it's putting the emphasis on the doing rather than the receptive factor which is there in perception.
So I kind of lost that thread when you said, or you can go through to the other side. Can you give an example of what that would look like?
Let's say you have a feeling of discomfort. You can name it. Naming it in a way, it's pushing it a little bit away and closing its form. So now you've got a ball of discomfort. You can totally go into emptiness. This is the female aspect, and and become so empty that the ball of discomfort just dissolves through you, just disappears. But you can also move with the male aspect and totally move into this discomfort completely into every particle of it until you are this great ball of discomfort. And you come through the other side. The male is very able to surrender. It's a master of surrender in that sense.
The male?
The male surrenders into the female. It's not what we normally are led to believe, but
So tap into the feeling,
the male
Surrenders into the female.
and the female.
The female opens up for the male to surrender.
We're running ahead a little bit.
Just like in the physical act.
Just like in the physical act. And in the physical act it becomes it's it's chicken and egg, where does it begin? But energetically there is a kind of pull from the female of emptiness at the beginning, and I just cut it a short story. The energy moves through the male like this, through the heart, into the bases, where it builds up. And if the woman is utterly empty, and in orgasm there is this space where there is really like nothing happening. You can try and have an orgasm and this and this and try and get horny and all of this, but it doesn't matter what is generating the horniness, if it's a forced horniness or whether it's a natural horniness. There's this space where there is this totally letting go into emptiness, like nothing's happening, absolutely nothing, and you come very much into the physical, and that's really, really empty, and that often pulls the male energy through. And if it's a shared orgasm, then this is the big event, and that energy works by itself. And then the energy moves up through the female, and if she's free in the central channel of herself, it will start releasing through the different layers. It will blow out the solar plexus, it will blow out the heart, she might go, goes through the head, and up, back into the universe. This is the female surrender. And then it comes around again, vomped through the male. And there's this kind of godly energy coming down through the male aspect again. And this is not just orgasm, this is the circulation between people, between their male and female aspects. The free circulation in a way of interbeing. Because we have both inside of us. And of course it's not that bland, because every like we said, every movement is a microcosm of male and female in freedom. But the female, the pull aspect, the receptive aspect is the container in a way. It's the space in which the spritz can happen, the first twinge of creation. And there's kind of practical ways to check this. If we just look at the senses, we can choose to listen to the soup pan. This is an active movement, to attune, or to put our eyes here. This is active movements. But the whole act of physical sensing is utterly dependent on reception. If we don't let in, nothing comes back. So the depth to which we can allow ourselves to be penetrated with stimulus, and it doesn't have to be a lot of stimulus, it can be a grain of dust to let it move totally, totally in, that will be of itself the quality and truthfulness of the expression that comes back through the male.
I think what you said is that the pull aspect of the female is totally dependent on the openness or the
being empty.
Being empty. Yeah.
Letting it all go.
Yeah,
no
let
agenda.
it all go. No agenda. The emptiness.
Give up. No sex, not going to happen tonight. No
Yeah.
orgasm, boom, into the body. Really for real, this for realness. It's a for realness, always this space of for realness. I don't know if there's a word for it. Being totally for real, we move into the body.
Genuine? Or
It's really for real. It's like no nonsense.
authenticity?
No, for real. I don't.
It's like really being real, 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 real.
we can be genuine in a belief, but that cannot be for real. You understand? Being for real is what it is. It's exactly what it is. There's nothing, not even a building of a concept around it.
Present.
It's
That was a question.
It's
Existence.
even presence.
Present.
It's
existence.
even letting go of presence.
Existence.
It doesn't need presence.
Yeah.
It's matter. It's moving into matter.
The collapse of presence then.
Yeah.
The presence can collapse in it.
Presence is
To
more
become
an
nobody.
effect of the for realness. This being, this presence. That's with the expansion. It's this fall down position into the kind of intimate contact with matter, where it's really something in consciousness is blending with matter, and then the energy starts to move up. It takes the energy from the matter.
So the female is then like the symbol of the vessel, like the earth.
Yeah.
And it's that.
So this is no stranger to any of us. We're all moving, we're all breathing, the in and the out, the push and the pull, the intake, the exhaling. There's no second when we're not in these movements. It's very much about life. A flow of feeling which has its own cycle and its own kind of burnout and its own rising again. So still we have this polarity of push and pull. This duality, this like fundamental duality. And of itself it would be just it would be a twin trap between the push and a twin trap. It would be a trap between the push and the pull. It would not have any movement. It wouldn't be able to stretch and shrink or attune or focus or expand or...
Because they'd be in such opposition to each other, they'd come
Yeah.
to a homeostasis.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Static without what? Movement.
Yeah, there would actually be no creation at all. So we need a third point in which the push and through which the push and the pull is liberated to attune through all the layers of form, without it being in any way about us, in a way, just according to need, like the original creation, according to need. So, what do we think the third point would be?
Like happening.
You've got the push and the pull. There's two movements. You keep it really in the raw, this movement and
It's the expression.
the expression is
Balance.
active. Balance is nice, but that would be a virtue of something in the middle.
The point when the push is out here before the pull comes back, the space in between.
The furthest point.
Yeah.
And how would that feel in terms of just regular experience? Such a point.
Nothing. Just
Or the corner.
pure existence.
Yeah.
That.
And do you think it's only at the furthest point of expression?
No, it's like the other side too.
Yeah. And do you think it's anywhere else?
Anytime it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Anytime there's any movement out or movement in,
Yeah.
it's at the edge of that.
Yeah. As well. So the nature of duality is that you've got the balancing or tuning of the two different extremes, and the third point is always, always, always there as well. So thatness, you're totally right, is there always. It's the backdrop to any movement or happening. To be a little bit more specific in terms of the push and pull, which is the active and receptive movement, the third point would be stillness. No movement. And it's not a point. It's a plane. It's a dimension.
Is it the same as thatness?
You look at
In a
me,
way,
but
everything is thatness,
Yeah.
because thatness runs through everything, but stillness is a layer, an early layer of creation, very much connected with the spatial, with movement. You know, there would have been no push and no pull had there not been the most supreme stillness. And there's a lot in the stillness of love, the stillness of light, the stillness of the wind. It's still, actually. The stillness of peace. Peace also moves, it also has a push and a pull, but there's also a stillness of peace.
I don't get what you're talking about.
No, I'm a bit.
What about that sunset last night?
Still in it all. It's not.
Did you find it brought you into stillness?
It brought me into wow.
Yeah. It's interesting, this wow. The wow is kind of like wow. Even it's in the mouth. Wow. You know, it's this
Yeah.
opening of perception. And what was watching the sunset? What was there? It wasn't only your eye, it
Creation,
wasn't
I
only
mean.
in from you. In you. You witnessed it. If there was nobody
Well,
else in the
opened
planet.
it just opened my senses. It was like a gift for me.
So,
Naughty.
I'm very naughty. Noam is not getting anything.
Okay.
I felt like I was receiving a gift.
Yeah.
So that's the female part of me.
It's the receptivity which totally can allow in.
But isn't that the female?
Yeah. Prior to any movement, there is this third point. It's like an eye which is closed. This is prior to stillness, thatness. The eye opens, begins to see, and I mean your eyes, the you, the I, the letter I as well. There is this seeing. This is pure stillness. And through every happening there is this seeing which is not happening. We are the third point. That's the doorway. Like through the heart. It's not male, it's not female, it's not push, it's not pull. It's not caught in space. It's not an effect of movement. It's not causing movement, but it's allowing movement.
So you're saying that if I go back to the darkness and then I allow the body, and I'm not acting, so I'm done.
You don't actually have any option whether to allow your body or not.
No, I'm like come back to the body but not acting upon anything.
No, you can be dancing in a party, fully active and be in pure stillness at the same time. Actually, the more you're in stillness, the better you will dance.
I'm not acting on the mind
Yeah.
and the mind thing.
Yeah.
Going to adopt the mind
I think the mind is a good one to leave at the door.
thing before going into the party.
Yes.
Just think you'll dance better.
So if
You get it now? All of this
Maybe
happening,
I got lines now in the picture, but not.
you're not the happening. It's really, really important. This is the direction. It's not just a story. It's about who we are. It's about where our safety is, where our strength is, where our freedom is, where the source of our love is. It's where we're not male or female.
When you say it like that, I feel like I don't have a third point.
You have 6.
I have 6 points?
Well, what you mean is you have a feeling that you don't have a third point. Like the push and the pull you recognize, but you don't recognize the third point.
Safety, freedom, source.
Is there a place in you which is not, this is just a question to ask yourself to check it, which is not moving? A place in your consciousness, in your seeing, in your feeling, living, which is not moving.
Thing that's timeless.
Also, but we're really
Thing
in
that's not evolving.
also a thing which isn't changing, meaning it's the same one. If you take any memory of things that have happened to you, this one is just the same as it is in this moment.
Oh, really?
So the question would be, is it moving through space or is space moving through it?
But a memory does move through time, doesn't it?
Wait a second, we're on the space now. We get back to the memory. Is the body moving through stillness of space, or is space moving through the body? Are you the container of the body? The space in which the body is moving? Just leave it with the body. Or are you the body?
And the body's moving through it, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's the same with presence and subtle forms of feeling. So it,
Well, that's weird. So the boundary's not here, that's why it can be out here.
So say that once again, are you the container or are you the space moving through the container?
are you moving through space, or is space moving through you?
But they don't seem very different. They're
Yeah. In a way you can say there's this space, and in this space was little 2-year-old Darcy. She was in this space, and this space was, this infinite space, is still there now,
Yeah.
with older Darcy,
Right.
or anywhere along the way. The form, the physical form, the feelings are changing, the body's changing, everything's moving and developing to the depth. We're working on ourselves and the self is developing. But all the time there is this spacious space of awareness which isn't changing shape. It's not getting older.
Right, that feels right to me.
So the space is much more who you are, and the body which you have is moving through this space of who you are.
But it's constellated here, which is why there's an aura, isn't it? Because it usually is constellated.
This is when we get to the more subtle layers of energy, but it's the same.
If you bring your attention to it and you broaden it out.
Yeah, yeah. Then it's like doing the ironing and doing the dishes, but with energy. It's a more subtle way to work with form. This is so important in the active and the receptive, because the magic of space, if the healing is in the space, then the healing movement is giving space. It's allowing. It's uncontracting. It's or allowing the contraction to totally be. When we are in the energy, there's less movement possible. It's caught in a push and a pull, a clamp. And you can totally move through. And when you're space, you can totally move through freely. Doesn't mean it goes away immediately, but there's much more freedom. From the level of the mind, it seems to be quite out of control. And it is out of control from the level of the mind. But from another level, this is the doorway to a much deeper control, a kind of mastery. You know, we can't control anything if we don't allow it to be there in the first place. We can't be of service to it. We can't heal it. We can't. In the end, we forget it's even there.